Alright, you guys, welcome back. This is part 1, side B, whatever you want to call it, of the Charlie's Truth series. Right now I'm talking about basically my journey to how I got to where I am now. Now, the last video was 17 minutes long. I did not realize I was talking for that long, so I'm going to try to cut it down a little bit shorter, but I want to at least continue to where I left off in the last video. So, after I was on the street for that night, I kept trying to figure out, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? But I had to remember a friend had told me about this place called Urban Peak, which was a youth center for 16 to 21-year-olds. Now, mind you, I was still 20 years old, but I was about to turn 21 within the next 2 or 3 months. That's what time frame it was in. So, that night, I went, stayed out on the street or whatever, but then that next morning, I went right over to Urban Peak, the place that I was told about. Went in. Basically, I got checked in that same day. But they're like, basically, you have, I believe it was 2 months. It was either 2 or 3 months left until I was to turn 21. Once you turn 21, you're not allowed to be back. You're not allowed to be in that shelter because you're then an adult. You're too old to be in there. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. Now, of course, I was scared to death because it was, it's a youth shelter. It had, like, a dorm room for men and it had a dorm room for the girls. And, these are other youths that are, like, troubled youths that are there. And, of course, at the time, I was very scared because I was like, I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. Some of the kids that were in there just seemed like they were just not the type of people that I should be around, just whatever. But at that time, it was like a desperation move. So, once I finally got into Urban Peak, I was able to get my stuff from the people's house that I lived with, and I got into the place. So that night, I moved in, had my own little bunk bed and all that stuff. Now, while I was in the shelter, I was determined to get the hell out of that shelter. So, I used up every resource that they had. I got good with all the caseworkers. I got good with the people that I was staying with because I was like, I'm not going to be scared to be here. I'm just going to do what I have to do to get out of there. So that's what I did. So I used the resources of, building up my resume, volunteering, and I was the main person to do the community board where I would, put announcements and everything on the board, make it look all nice and tidy and everything. And that's how I just got good with all the caseworkers and everything. So during the time that I was there, I found a job through Heidi's Brooklyn Deli at the time, which was up in Southgate, that shopping area. And once I got into Heidi's, like I applied and everything, I think it was like 2 days later I had got a job. Excited as hell. So I finally got the job at Heidi's, went there as a dishwasher, just tried to get as many hours as I possibly could. And of course, the money that you got from your paychecks, you would have to pay Urban Peak, of course, the money for that. So, now once I got the job at Heidi's, I was there for quite a while. Tried to save every little money that I possibly could while I was there. Now, because I knew that my time at Urban Peak was about to be ended through Urban Peak, but I got so good with the caseworkers and even with the director of the place that after the 2 months that I was there and I, stayed at Heidi's and everything, they moved me into this place called the Colorado House, which is what they call transitional housing for homeless people. And so, and that's, of course, at the time that I was aging out, because, Charlie's been doing so well. We all like him very much. We want to be able to put him in a place where he can only progress more and more. So, sure enough, that's what they did. They moved me into the Colorado House. Now, it's weird because at the same time, Heidi's was coming to an end. Their place was about to go out of business. Now, of course, I didn't know that the place was about to go out of business. So what happened was I had went to this workforce place that was actually determined to get me an office job. And, they had interviewed me and everything and told me I was going to get the job and blah, blah, blah. So what did I do? I had pretty much quit Heidi's because I figured that this job was going to, they made it seem like I was guaranteed this job. And after I had pretty much quit Heidi's and thought that I was going to start the new job the following week, they told me, after I quit, that they no longer had that position available. So I wasn't hired. I was so mad, you guys. So mad. I was like, what the hell am I going to do now? I just quit the job that I had. But the weird part is that after I quit Heidi's, I had found out that they were going out of business almost a week later. They had changed their name and everything. And so, once they changed their name and everything, and I found out that they were going out of business anyway, they pretty much cut the final check for that place. So, there was no more Heidi's despite me quitting. So, I was really desperate at the time. I had no idea what I was going to do. So, once they finally moved me into the Colorado house, it was, of course, a struggle at the beginning because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. You know, how I was going to pay since I didn't have a job at that time. You bring me into this place where I still have to pay some money, but I don't have a job to pay the money. And I'm like, really? So, of course, I looked around as much as I could. Went downtown. They had just built the Arby's where I currently work now. I went in there and applied. And I had brought Brandon with me that day. I remember that. And I talked to the manager that was there at the time, and she, gave me an application, and then she told me to fill it out and give her a call the next day. Filled it out, gave her a call the next day, hired. I was like, thank God. Thank God. So finally, I had another job. Got hired at Arby's. Been there ever since. That was back in May 2008. May 2008, because I remember, yeah. So, once I got into Arby's, they made me a shift manager 5 months later. So, I was finally starting to make the money. And at the same time that I was at the Colorado house, it was like a program limit. You have to stay in the program for 2 years. You have a case manager. You have to take classes. You have to do chores. You have to have visitors at certain hours. You have to follow all these rules in order to stay in the Colorado house. You have to give them like half your checks, all kinds of stuff. But because of the personality that I have, I got good with the people there. I did what I was supposed to do. I saved money. I stuck with it like I was supposed to. Even when I had issues with some of the case managers I stuck with it and I made it. So, at the end, coming close to the end of this 2-year period, you guys, once again, it was like, well, now that I'm about to get out of this program, what's going to happen now? And sure enough, one of the residents that worked there actually had got out of the Colorado house and wound up coming to Gracio, where I currently live now. She started working for Gracio. So, what she wound up doing was somehow getting me the connection to get into Gracio. So, knowing that I'm about to move out of the Colorado house and everything, they sure enough said, once you move out of the Colorado house, move you into Gracio because an apartment became available. So, I was just so excited about that, you guys. So excited. So, let me make the story shorter because I know I'm talking a lot and this video is going to take a long time. But basically, once I moved out of Gracio, they held it off, or let me stay there for as long as I needed to wait to get the apartment here. Put the deposit down and everything. Moved in here, and I've been here ever since. So that's how I ended up in the newspaper. Is because they had this big dinner for like 300 people, in front of like 300 people. Me and other residents who actually made the program as well had to make a speech in front of 300 people about how you basically succeeded the program, what you did to get there, how you did it, all that. And that's what I did, and then I just, told my story and everything like that, and it's basically an inspiration dinner for others out there who had the same issue. So, that's how I wound up getting in the newspaper. So I basically succeeded that program as well. And I've been here at Gracio in this apartment ever since. And you know, everything that I've done has really been built on stepping stones, just like I learned when I was in the Colorado house. Because I've been here for so long, because yes, it is a small place. I would love to have an even bigger apartment, but for it just being me and for it being as cheap as it is, why do I need anything bigger that's going to cost more when I can use that money for something else? And that's what I did. So, I got into this apartment and I kept my job at Arby's, and I've been at Arby's ever since. So, it's pretty crazy how it just kind of played out. Um, of course, my next task was to get a car, because for the longest time I was taking the bus. And, you know, the bus isn't too bad at all, but in order to be able to be a manager and everything, you gotta have a car. So, that's when I started getting good with my mom again, and then, you know, told her I was living here and everything. And they helped me get my first car, which was a Nissan Sentra, 92 Nissan Sentra, a piece of fucking shit. Then after that came a 1996 Grand Voyager, and that's when I became obsessed with the minivan. And then after that, I had got a van at Car Hop, which was an upgrade. It was a 2005 Grand Voyager. And, you know, after I had got my first, or the first van, I knew I needed to get another job. I had to. There was no choice. I had to. And that's what I had called my new era, which I'm going to see if I can find that video and link it underneath here, because it was, you know, I had to get another job. And so I had wound up getting another job, and that was the job at McDonald's. And I've been at McDonald's for almost 2.5, almost 3 years now. So I've stuck in there, you guys. I really have stuck in there. To this very day, I'm still at both places, you know, and it gets hard sometimes, it gets tiring, but I've stuck in there. And because of the work that I put into these both places of being here, now I have a 2013 Hyundai Elantra sitting outside that's all mine, that I paid for, and I still have my apartment. And I still have extra money that I can spend on other things, like my art thrift store haul today. It's because during the time that I've been here, I learned how to make a budget. I've learned how to save money. I've learned how to spend money, how to keep a mental note in my head about spending money. I've learned to just balance my bills. And you know, as I was staying here, I also learned how important it is to pay your bills, to keep your credit going up. Because without a good credit score that I have now, I wouldn't have been able to get that Hyundai out there at all. So because I think that out of all these years of hard work at both places, it has paid off, but I want it to pay off even more. Because now, because I took everything as a stepping stone, it's only time to make my future even better. This is good for now, but I know that eventually I'm going to need better. I'm going to need a not necessarily bigger apartment, but I want a nicer apartment. I know I'm going to need to get into school. I definitely need to further my education, because I don't want to be doing McDonald's and Arby's for the rest of my life. Trust me. I mean, I made a little goal long time ago to myself, by the time I turn 30, to be out of fast food. That may not be the case, because I'm about to turn 29 this year. I may still wind up being at Arby's, but at least got rid of the other job and have something better, like a retail store job, or volunteering at a news station, because that is my goal. I want to be a newscaster. So I definitely need to go to school and get my stuff going so that I can get that ball running, because if I don't, I'm going to be stuck at both places forever. I want it to where I can have one job and pay for everything, to have the equivalent of 2 jobs. I don't want to be working my ass off all the time like I am now. I really don't. I just want to better myself, make myself I want to put my potential towards something that I know I'm good at. So basically, you guys, this is where I am now. I'm still at both places. you know, hopefully gonna become an assistant at Arby's. McDonald's, you know, they have opportunities to move up in McDonald's, and I've been given several opportunities, but, you know, I just don't want to stay there forever, and I feel like if I do that, I'm going to get trapped in it. So I'm kind of confused. I'm kind of like, okay, where do I go now? But that, of course, is for me to figure out in the future, my goals and everything for my future life or whatever. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I just know that I can't take and wait forever. I can't do it too long. I'm gonna have to get the ball rolling somehow. So I know that's in the back of my head. So that's how that's going. Trying to see if I have anything else to elaborate on this section of Charlie's Truth Series. Basically, like I said, I just wanted to give you guys some information of how I got to where I am now. And I've been doing well ever since that happened, because that started happening back in like 2006, 2007-ish, I believe. And so it's been, you know, it's 2014 now, so it's been like a few years since that's happened. And I've been doing good, just doing this, you know, but it's only room for more improvement. And that's what I plan on doing, is improving more and more. I think I'm done on this topic, you guys. I think I'm done. I think I pretty much covered a lot of that. So anyway, thank you for joining me on part 1 of the Charlie's Truth series, you guys. I know, like I said, the videos are probably long. I'm sorry, but that's what this series is all about, is me telling you guys about myself. So now you know how I got to where I am right now. So I'm not sure which topic I'm going to talk about next, but I will do, of course, videos throughout the week, so I'm not sure when I'm going to do the next one. I might even record the next one after this, but I don't know. I'm not going to post it until later. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you've stuck this long, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to put your comments of what you think about this topic so far, and if you have any questions, give me a holla. Let me know. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you all, and as always, smile. And remember to always holla back. Bye for now, y'all.